So we're here tonight. We're on the foothills of Northern California. We've got a beautiful sunset. Looks like it's developing. We're going to see how things progress. Tonight I have a model that I've worked with quite a bit. Her name's Krista, and very experienced model. And we're looking to add some pictures for her portfolio tonight. And what I'm going to mainly be shooting with is speed lights. We're keeping it pretty loose. We had quite a bit of a hike to get in here tonight, and we want to move fast. So mainly using umbrellas and speed lights that we talked about in the first part of the video. So come along tonight with us and let's just see how we do a typical model shoot at sunset. Now, while Krista was getting ready, they were doing some last-minute hair and makeup checks and tests. I took my assistant Zach off to the side, and we set the lights up, and I used him as a stand-in to make sure my lighting was right. Now, the sun hadn't gone down yet. We had this extreme backlit situation. So what I did is I took my camera and I set the ISO as far as I could, as low as I possibly could, down to ISO 100, and turned my speed lights on to full power. I needed maximum power out of there to overpower that backlit sun. Now this is a situation a lot of people shy away from. When you have that extreme full sun, it's not quite time where the sun hasn't fallen either behind the clouds or behind the hills to get that beautiful sunset shot that you're after, but it's not the time to just leave the camera in the bag. One of the things when you're shooting model, even shooting things like senior portraits, don't get stuck shooting the same picture over and over. Go for wardrobe changes, change locations. So we liked our setup, so I instantly said, it's time to change some clothing so we can get a different look. With the sun just behind the clouds, we weren't yet picking any color up in the sky, still very bright, but it was a good time to take some great colored portraits. Now that we've lost our backlit sun, it's really important that we get some kind of light behind our model to separate her from the background. So I set up another Nikon speed light behind her and set it up at about half power where I could get a little bit of rim flash on her. Now the sun started to go down. That sunset that we were expecting just didn't develop. We weren't getting a lot of color in the sky. So what I did is I reached into my bag, I grabbed a green gel and threw that onto my speed light. Now I know what you're thinking is, ooh, now everything's green. Well, if you think about your flash, by the time your flash goes out 20, 30 feet, it's not affecting any of the background. So none of that green light is getting to the background. So I've got Krista now, I've flashed her with this green light, and I'm compensating with it in the camera. I'm controlling my white balance. The way the camera corrects green is it adds magenta. So now not only is it adding magenta to cancel out that green that I have on Krista, it's adding magenta into the sky that has no green. So what that's kind of done is created this false color into the sky that I wasn't getting. So Krista made a change of clothes. She put on a dark dress, which looked wonderful, but wasn't getting quite the dramatic light that I wanted falling on it because it was dark, the background was dark. So I pulled out one of my favorite tools these days, and that's the Brinkmann Dual Xenon flashlight. This light puts out an exceptionally warm light, looks great on the skin, it's a very soft light. I still was using my flash, just using a little bit of the dual xenon light to fill her face in with some warm light. and really liked the photos that I was getting. So one of the things I see a lot of photographers do is they get a setup that they like and they don't move. Well, as we were shooting, I glanced off to my left, started looking down to the south, and noticed there was some great clouds that way, looking really dramatic downriver. So we took our model and just changed our position, just turned a little bit, about 45 degrees, to where we were shooting to the south now. And we were able to pick up those good clouds down there. Now, this is a good reminder. Always be aware of what's happening. You know, I think back on one of my favorite photographers, Galen Roll, talks about he was doing a workshop in Tibet, and it was just by chance he had turned around when he was walking down a road and looked behind him and saw a rainbow cast right onto a monastery there in Tibet, and it's one of his most famous photos. Once the sun actually goes behind the mountain, falls behind the horizon, your light goes very fast. This is a time when, rather than continually adjusting your aperture and your shutter speeds, try adjusting your ISO first. When the light starts to fade and you're losing a little bit of control of things, this is a good time to start experimenting. So this is a good time to get some extreme angles. Shoot a little bit lower, shoot a little bit higher. So I started playing around with my angles, getting down in the grass, throwing some of that grass in the foreground. So this was my time to play. So I brought my zoom lens out, and what I was doing is I would slow my shutter speed down to about a 20th of a second, and I would zoom through the shot. Now, this is no tried and true method. You're gonna hit and miss. Some pictures are gonna work, some aren't. But when you grab that one frame that works, it can be a real captivating image. Staying in that vein of just having fun, my light was gone. I had Krista start doing some jumping. What I wanted to do was create a little movement into the photo. I wanted something a little bit different. I knew the light was gone, so I wasn't going to lose anything. I had the pictures that we had come to get. Before I packed everything up, I pulled out the tripod and I wanted to do just one last shot with her. And that was slowing that shutter speed down enough to where I could shoot her and I could record all that nice bokeh of lights behind her that were developing from the city as it had gone pitch black. One of the great things about those dual xenon flashlights is when you get out on a shoot like this one, you can use those flashlights to find all your gear in the dark, pack up, and get out. And that's exactly what we had done.